Memento. It's a movie that's you start watching it and then it sort of moves backwards in time. It's slightly confusing my career. I've been starting out from a very technical role, being a developer, moving over basically to product ownership, product management. It's a broad career, and I've been trying to look into as many fields as I possibly could. I was missing building something. And with the new tools that we have since a year or 2 years, I now have the chance to basically build again. I'm feeling like I was 7 years old and I was having this big box of Legos and I can put things together and it's amazing. I'm not very well paid now because I'm freelancing. So in that sense, it's harder, but from creativity wise and from happiness wise, it's amazing. Earlier this year, January, February, something like that, I started building things with the help of ChatGPT or with the help of Claude. At that time, I was using two screens. So, coding in one screen and then asking questions on the other side. And since then, the tools have been more evolved and became much, much better. So now it's all integrated in more beautiful or easier to work with. But in the vibe coding world, that's like a super senior person. It's a very new thing, so it's nobody really knows where it's going and what it is. But I think so far it's great. It's amazing.
I think employers still ask for 5+ years with vibe coding experience when they look
Well, I
for
mean, it's
renewal.
great if they do this, but everybody knows that it's. I mean, or people who work with it know that it's a new thing, right? So
Mm.
it's impossible to have that kind of experience.
Where do you see the difference between vibe coding and this classical, normal approach that is maybe still thought in universities, like for software development?
There is one way of AI supported software development, right? When you have some kind of a AI agent that is helping you to build something, which is sort of in the way that I am trying to do this, which is more like a classical setup, right? Because you still know or still understand what you're doing in some sense. And then you have these new tools where there is no real need to understand anything that is happening behind the scenes. You basically you type something and you see something. If you define vibe coding as something that is totally creative and that is something that is only being driven by your imagination and all the things you can do, then the second one would be the real vibe coding experience. So I am more working on AI supported development.
Okay, then what tools is one using in AI supported development?
In the community, it's Claude Code. It's basically the
Mhm.
one that you would integrate into your Visual Studio Code. And then the other one is Cursor. Cursor is basically the same thing. It's basically a variety of Visual Studio Code where you have an option to select different kind of models. It's a little bit more powerful in that sense. It's also more expensive. I use one of the very creative ones, for example, Lovable, right? And I ask it to create something for me. I do one iteration. Then I would download the code and I would import it into Visual Studio Code and I would use then Claude to continue working on that because I'm not totally happy with the iterations that these very visual tools are giving.
How much do you spend on Claude Code, for example, per month?
I believe it's like $20 or something like that.
Mhm.
But you also would need in many cases additional things. So it's not only for development. If you are building something that is being used, you need Supabase, for example, for user management and these kind of things. So it's roughly $60 per month.
How do you deploy your applications?
I used to use Amazon
Mhm.
AWS. That is because I worked with this in the past, so I know how it works. It's extremely powerful. It's extremely complicated. And it's also quite expensive. So I have switched over to Google Cloud, which they have this beautiful. I believe it's like 3 months for free. They will give you like $300 of credit, and you can try it out. And I'm doing that since 2 months now and I have one more month for free. After that, we'll see. But I will probably not go back to AWS. I think it's too expensive. And for a one-person project, the effort of deploying something is quite large.
AWS also has credits that you can apply for, especially if you're a startup. You can get up to 100,000 credits with AWS, similar or equivalent amount on Google Cloud. Also available is Vercel. There's also Hexel. It's like low-code deployment, basically. Like it's easier than on AWS or Google Cloud. Just a little overview there. But yeah, the costs for deploying applications are insane. I think that's also why Lovable is so good, that you can deploy your thing directly in there without any extra costs.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
You published some applications already, right?
Yes, of course. I did several ones. I'm currently now building my very first native Android application, which is I don't need any backend there, which is very good. So I was trying to put everything into the device itself. So it's basically a layout system, print layout, where you can collect various images and add some text to it, and then basically do a printout of an image or two, which is the first time I've written something natively for an Android phone. But if you want to look at something that is more of a backend heavy thing, which is, an example would be a CV content management system, which I wrote, which basically is a headless application that is used to manage your CV data. Thought maybe it should be, I want to own my own data. Now LinkedIn owns my CV data, and there is no central place to put this stuff. So basically, I built this 100% vibe coding, so to say, and deployed it with Docker. It's running currently on Google. Let's see, depending on the usage I have in the future and the pricing I have to pay from starting from October, we'll see where it will end up later. But currently now it's on Google. I have about 35 testing people there so far. Seems to run quite well, but traffic is limited. In addition to that, I have a couple of more applications. The first thing I wrote actually was a RAG system, which I have a couple of kids in school, and school keeps sending me emails every day something, and from various teachers, the information is sometimes correct, sometimes a bit mixed up. So I wanted to build something that can take these emails and extract what is important and just tell me in the morning that to have to do this and this and this today. So I wrote basically to teach myself a little bit how this works. So I wrote a RAG system, a vector database, basically where I insert or upsert the data, and I try to use ChatGPT, I think in this case, to extract data and just send it to myself in the morning. It's basically running on AWS and on Lambda functions.
Do you feel like you can ship more sophisticated or somehow better things when you also have AI assistants?
Yes, definitely. I would say it makes an average developer, which I would call myself now because I've been mostly not developing for the last 20 years. It makes somebody like me a much, much better developer. It's very useful to learn something that you don't know. It's very useful to learn new languages. I wanted to keep track of how much time do I spend on each task. And this was written in a language called Rust, which is a language I have no idea how it works. I've never written anything in Rust, but I asked the AI tool what software, what language should I use to write something that will run natively on my Mac, which is not totally complicated. And its proposal was to use Rust. It's very useful to learn something that you have not done before. It is also really useful for architecture. Describe the architecture of something, which for me would take a week or 2 weeks.
What would you prompt?
Hello, I would like to build a system that should be a headless content management system for my CV data. Important for me is separation of visual UI and data. I wanted to make sure performance is there, and I want to make sure that the price of running this is handleable, not too expensive. Draw me a plan how you would implement something like this. I would dive into the individual ideas and to define them more in detail. So I would, before even I ask for any code.
Implementation plan then.
Yes.
Do you also prompt the idea beforehand, have like product requirements, user flows, or?
I have done this in the past, but it's not it's not working very well. I would say, again, give me an idea for something that I can sell, or give me an idea that would be useful for people who like to print many pages from their mobile phone or something. But the ideas is always a couple of steps behind. The AI tools are not a really good source for ideas. Ideas are better from Reddit or from general internet surfing around, right? Because they're always a little bit behind. When it comes to creating ideas for UI flows, this could work in some cases. I'm in general not very happy with what kind of UI they create. And it's not the flow in that sense. The flow is sometimes, or in most cases, okay. I just don't like the look and feel of it. And there's also an issue with you create something and you want to change this UI or want to change the look and feel of the UI. It's almost impossible. It's really, really hard with the tools that I've seen today, because there's somehow a lack of understanding. The model does not understand what to change to make the background more blue, or make that button larger or smaller. Somehow the stuff that was just created 5 minutes ago somehow is not being understood by the model again. I'm trying to do that in many cases manually. There is actually something in Figma where you can actually draw something and it will build you something. I didn't try that one yet, but I think it's called Figma Build or something like that. Figma Create.
Back then when I tested it was black and white UIs that you get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it improved by now because things are improving fast nowadays, but I was not happy with
When
it. Like,
was back then? I mean, this was
oh,
pretty much,
now we have September.
yeah, we have
So I
September.
think I tested it like in July.
Maybe it's worth a try. I will try it out.
But things are changing fast, so I think it's now again worth a
Yeah,
try because Figma is huge.
I think UI is a general weakness so far. I think that could be a
Yeah,
next big thing to look into. So make me a
yeah.
UI and show me that's this UI in 10 different varieties.
Yeah, but I think Lovable is actually doing a good job with UI. They're using like ShadCN components.
Hmm.
I don't know if they're stealing it from some open source repos out there and just like replicating whatever patterns they see there. But so far it is okay. Like I'm not a front-end developer, so for me that's better than what I would do, right?
Maybe I should revisit that and change my opinion a little bit about Lovable.
Yeah.
So I will definitely do that. Cool.
But everything looks very similar because they love gradients. So when you see like an app with gradients used all over the place, then you know this was Lovable.
So you can
That's
directly see it
basically it.
on the app, right? And then use
Yes.
your okay.
Yes, like I already detect lovable apps just like that, which is not a bad thing because apparently like whatever they do works.
It's not necessarily exactly. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah,
it's not
of
often you
course.
see a company grow that fast and this kind of valuation in I think
Yeah.
9 months or something like that. So it's amazing.
Mhm.
But if you ask the model, it's using I think Anthropic 3.5.
But I feel they would switch the model constantly depending on which one works better right now.
Probably right.
I
Yeah,
also recently learned they had once a feature where you can select the model that you want to use.
I
They
didn't see that
removed
one
that
yet.
feature and maybe they now just select the one automatically that works best for a
I
specific
see.
prompt. We already saw that the requirements for developers changed over time. We're now in a phase where we need to know how to work with AI assistants or maybe even with vibe coding, know how to prompt an AI, right? Where do you see things changing? Do you think that we have real developers and then vibe coders somewhere, or is basically everyone a real developer that ships a product? Is that even a thing?
Yeah, that's it's a very good and a very complex question. So you have imagine this. Imagine I am a developer and I work for, I don't know, SAP, or I work for Mercedes or something, right? I mean, I cannot ship anything that is vibe coded today
Mhm,
because I have to understand how it works, right? I
mhm.
cannot go to my boss and say, look, we have made this beautiful app. Oh, by the way, I don't really know how it works because half of it is AI
Yeah.
generated, right? Because how can I argue? What kind of argument would I give to my manager to say that this is beautiful and this is working? So today, anything that you build or I build is perfect for me. If I make an app, I can release it myself. because, building software for nuclear power plants or for security safety systems in cars. I'm building something fun, which is good enough, so to say, right? But in the future, I would see that the systems that are the vibe coding systems will have to firstly have documentation. I mean, better documentation of the code itself, really understanding what it is. Maybe a second model or a third model would be used to actually check the first model's output, look for security flaws. We need to have something like that in place to be able to ship this in a real big product environment. Then I think there's nothing stopping anybody from becoming a developer. You have this phase now when you need to have some basic understanding of how software development works to really use these tools. In it. The way things are going in a year, this will be irrelevant. You don't really need to know anything about architecture or about security. This opens up a huge potential for anybody to be a developer, right? Anybody. A product person can build something. I mean, he can build, or he and she can build something today, but this will more be like a demo. It will be something that can be shown on to management and say that this is a demo and we will continue with building this and it will be great, right? But in the future, anybody can be this. Somebody in the marketing department can build software. Somebody, management themselves can build something. It's a very interesting and a little bit scary world for developers because where is the place then for real software, real software engineers? You would have a situation where the super intelligent senior would be running the show because they understand how the models work. They understand how the real development works. But the junior ones, I mean, how would you even get into this business? Because you will never have the chance to be a junior developer because the need in the company is only for somebody who is really understand the tools. I would probably be a little bit hesitant about learning about or being a software development today. You will still need extremely good people.
AI vibe coding is very good for like replicating already existing patterns. Can be like developing a custom AI model, but using like existing AI architectures or like creating a UI that people have seen already before. But I think creating new things that will still require developers because I don't know how AI will be like creative, you know? I think that's still like a people's job.
Yeah, we believe this, right? Well, we want to believe this at least because we need to somehow justify that we are still a part of the process of developing software. But I'm not sure. 90% of what you see is a copy of something else. Made by AI or not by made by AI, right? There is a certain pattern. You press the button and there are certain numbers and there are certain input fields. So there is nothing really unique. What is unique? Huh? I hope you're right, and I hope we can sort of justify ourselves in the software development process in the future also. But I am a little bit afraid that we will have some kind of AI powered creativity in the future also. Let's say we have the self-learning models. AI will start improving itself and not depending or not relying on data that we feed into it, but actually generating its own data. AI will create 10 problems it can almost solve, and it will solve two of them, and then it will learn, oh, this is how I fix this problem. Then it will create 10 more problems it can almost solve, and you have this recurrence of self-learning, so to say, right? And what if you have the same thing in the UI field, or you have the same thing in the coding field? Very interesting, a little bit scary, but let's hope and let's believe this will take a little bit of time.
But like, I mean, in the end, AI is like an optimization problem always. You know, we're looking for the optimum in the predictions that we have running code, right? But creativity is not really like efficient or optimized.
Creativity is not efficient or optimized. No, that is true.
I just don't see them aligning very well. And also, I think like understanding a human's like perspective or experience as well. I think AI cannot really grasp the context. It cannot even understand my code base completely. So how will it understand
Not
my,
yet, not yet. This is
yeah,
you're thinking today, right? And you're thinking tomorrow. But you need
yeah.
to. No, I'm not going to say because I don't know any of this. I'm just now guessing that we I'm also struggling. Oh, look, the context window is just 2000 whatever or 2 million tokens and it doesn't understand the rest of my code. But at the same time, I know that by next year it will be 20 million. And the year after it will be 200 million. It will understand everything I've ever written. So I am maybe we can agree that this will take some time, but
Mm.
I am not going to agree that we cannot be replaced,
Okay.
sadly.
Okay.
Eventually will be probably replaced, even in the creative way.
It's just so hard to imagine what possibilities we will have in a couple of years because I feel like it's changing weekly.
It is
And
changing weekly, and I mean, you listen to the tech bros, and they are saying, "Oh, we're gonna have general intelligence in 2 years." Probably not, but I think we will probably have it in our lifetimes, right? And we will have it in, I don't know, 5 years or 10 years,
I
right?
would love to see that.
And let's
I
in
don't know,
ten
I think
years.
it
I
will be
mean,
scary,
it's
but
it's 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 extremely scary, you know.
yeah.
And that's why I have a daughter she is now 13, and she's now starting to think about what she wants to study eventually at university. I have no idea what to tell her. I can tell her do something creative. I mean, certainly don't do coding or do anything technical because I don't think that there will be a market for that or a need for that. There's a use case for everything, right?
Yes. I actually started joking like every time something does not work or like there's a problem, like let's create an AI for that.
It's coming. And also, AI will create itself, right? You don't have to tell it anything.
I now think about like these dystopian movies where we have like, I don't know, robots shooting everyone and destroying the world and taking everything over.
Is there a motivation to do that?
Yeah,
Do you
that's what
think?
I keep asking myself. Like, what is the motivation for like AI to take over the
What?
world?
Why would they do that? Listen, I mean, do you have a cat or a dog or something?
Oh, yes, I have a cat.
Yeah, so you have. I mean, you like them, right? And you don't want
Yes,
to
I
get
love
rid of
them.
them in some way. So, but you are also much smarter than your cat and your dog, right? But you're still having a meaningful relationship with the with
So
your. I
you're
mean,
saying that AI will treat us like a cat
yes,
pet?
yes, this is what I'm saying. They will, I mean, they will
Oh,
definitely see us, the nice little persons or
okay.
people who are running around here. But I mean, don't really have any intention of harming them in any way. I will give them some food, right, and take care of them. But I don't think there's a motivation for I'm not afraid of the future in that sense. There is no Skynet or any Terminator stuff. I mean, why would they? Why? Would there be more energy if there were no people?
Yeah, we will see how it will play out. There are also like people on LinkedIn. I saw a post that blew up completely where someone said, I always say thank you to ChatGPT, even I know I should not, in case that AI takes over the world, that it remembers that I was nice to it.
You see, ChatGPT does not remember because the context window is not large enough. It can only remember a couple of days back, right?
What is your favorite trend for the future that is not destroying the world, please? But what
I
is your favorite trend?
just talked with my friend about this on the weekend. We were watching some Netflix stuff, and he just told me in 10 years there will be no Netflix. There will be a service, you know? It will know what I like. It will know what actors I like to watch. It will know what kind of movies I like. And I will tell it, make me 4 episodes with this person about this story, and it will spit out in 2 seconds um, my personal TV show or my personal movie, which is interesting and a bit weird, right? It's interesting because I get exactly what I want and with the exact story that I want. It's weird because we are losing the context of being able to share anything with anybody, right? Because you
Mm,
have this, everybody watched the new whatever story there is on Squid Game or something, season 3 or season 2, right?
mhm.
And you can share it in some way. You can write about it because the episode 4 was so exciting, but episode 5 was totally crap. But yeah, whatever. And you're
Yeah.
missing this, right? It's disappearing because there is this super focus on individual entertainment and individuality, and you cannot share it with anybody because it's only for you, right? You are sort of losing a little bit of, there'll be a very lonely future in this sense. If you are now building your, togetherness on sharing various stories online or looking at various Netflix shows, which you didn't probably not do, but still it will be very individual, but a little bit lonely. So I'm not sure if
So you
it's a
mean like
fit.
this sense of belonging, sense of community
A little bit
will
would
be
be,
lost?
I think, will be less there, at least. Maybe there will be some kind of movement back towards, this linear old-fashioned TV. Something
And
is
that's your
live.
favorite trend?
No, it's not my favorite trend, but it's it's. You didn't say it should be positive, right? It's a trend that I believe the most in. In that sense,
Okay.
is my favorite trend, right? I'm not
Right.
saying it's a
Okay.
positive trend. I think it's just a very weird trend. But I think maybe it will be more important to look at things live in the future. Maybe we have to have like this movement backwards, and we will have live
Mm.
music and live sports and something that we can share more instead of having this. If you have this everything super personalized, then there is no sense of community anymore.
Did you ever try one of these funky little workflow builders like Zapier, Make, N8N, maybe
And
even?
Nathan, I didn't really see the point of it because I didn't really have any need to use it. The only one I tried was N8N, which is a Berlin company, which is actually I think already a unicorn or on the very good way of becoming a unicorn. In general, the idea is smart, very smart, and I think it's very useful, but for corporations.
I think the reason might be that you're also like a backend developer. Like some people wipe code their backend with these no-code workflow builders.
Hmm.
But I've heard it's very high maintenance.
Okay.
I did not touch them yet because I also did not really see the need. The only thing that I tried was Zapier.
Hmm.
That one we use frequently, but now we replaced everything with real code because
Real
it's more
code. Yeah.
stable.
I mean, I write my own code.
Yeah.
I like to have a little bit of control and understanding of what's happening. So yeah, that's the reason. It keeps making me very angry that they keep forgetting what I've told them. I like to have a large context window. So it's been in some way fixed by Claude Code. It basically creates like a text file describing the project when you first initiate it. Once it forgets or you restart, it will read this file and it will sort of get itself up to date with what's happening, which is an okay solution. Then you have the other way, which is Gemini, Google stuff there, which is the claiming to have a very large context window, which is not true. It
Mhm.
flips out after 1/3 or so. It doesn't really understand what is happening anymore. This is where I see the most potential for improvement would be to keep the memory of the model up to date and stop rewriting something that I already wrote and these kind of things, right?
Okay.
The future is
Right.
bright. The future is wide open. The future is bright. The future is exciting, and it's also slightly scary. All becoming builders, which is really cool, which is also at the same time really scary because everything is being built, just for you, which is,
Mhm.
like I said, is sort of missing a little bit the community feeling in some cases. It's extremely exciting. I haven't felt this since the first time I had a computer in the 80s. The product idea keeps me awake at night. You start so many things, but only finish 5 of them. This is
Mhm.
something where AI could help, right? Help me finish up my products because I have so many ideas. I need to be able to sort of sort out what is important and finish the important ones, right? Try to understand the big picture and try to make small pieces of the problem. So the way that it works today, the way to build something that works well with today's models is piece by piece. Do not write me a big app that does this and this and this. So try to break it down into small pieces. Be a product manager or a product owner and write small tickets and small stories. That's exactly the best way to do it, in my experience.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.